Hi, Robert Cook here with 3Forge. Today I'm going to do a quick video to give you an idea of what it looks like to create multiple layout files to build a dashboard. So first thing I'm going to do is go into developer mode here by hitting Control D, window, new window. This is ultimately going to become my child layout, so I'm going to go ahead and just save that first. So I'm going to go to my layouts, save as, I'll just call this child, save that guy. I'm just going to keep this pretty simple here. So one thing I'm going to do is put in an HTML panel, and then maybe I'll just add a quick button. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this button call a method, and then later on I'm going to override that method in the parent layout. So first off, I'm going to go to my custom methods here, and I'm just going to add a quick method called, let's say, string test me, and it's going to just do session.alert calling child method. And then I'll do the exclamation point because developers love exclamation points. Okay, submit. There we go. Now I'm going to go and modify this code here just to call that guy. So what did I call this? Test me, something like that. And go ahead and just hit submit. Hit the button. Does what we expect. Calling child method, exclamation point. Now I'm going to create another window here. Window, new window. And I'm going to say create a table visualization. I'm just going to go ahead and connect to AMI, internal database. I just want to get a list of all the tables, something simple like that. Next, I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to go ahead and say table and finish. Okay. So now we've got our two panels, PNL1 and table. I'm going to go ahead and rename this guy. So I'm just going to go to settings. Instead of calling it PNL1, I'm just going to call it form1. Submit that guy. Makes it a little easier for us when we're moving around later on. Okay, so that's it. Very simple. That's our child layout. File, save. Now I'm going to go file new, start a brand new layout here, and I'm going to save this guy as parent. File, my layouts, save as, and I'm just going to call it parent. There we go. And now what I want to do is I want to make this layout include that child layout. So I'm going to say included layouts. Right now we can see the root layout is parent.ami, and now I'm going to say add a child link, and I'm going to include from the layout that child layout. Okay, I'm going to name the alias child, and I'll explain that in a second. And I'm going to say it's a relative path, and I'm not going to say read only. I'm going to let us edit the things in that layout. And I'm going to say okay, submit that. Now what's going to happen is those panels from the parent layout are going to become available. So for example, I can do everything I could do before in my parent layout. I can create brand new windows, but now there's something additional. If I go to unhide panel, we're going to see those panels show up from the child layout. So we've got child form 1. We've also got child table. So I'm going to go ahead and click on child form 1, and we're going to see that that guy shows up inside there. So now inside my parent layout, we've got this this child layout. This link to the child, and we're going to see the name of this panel is actually child.form1. So that's actually that alias that I created before, child, and then .form1. Now all the buttons still work and everything. If I click the button, it comes back and says calling child method. Now what I want to do is I want to make it so I can override that method. So in the parent layout, I want to override the child layouts method. So I'm going to go to dashboard custom methods. Now we can see that there's going to be a tab here for each layout that's available. So if I go to child, that's that method that I had created before. Now I'm going to go ahead and just prefix this with the keyword virtual. And that now says that in the child layout, I'm acknowledging that I'm going to allow other layouts to override my test me method. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. Again, still operates the way we expect because we haven't overridden at this point. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the dashboard, and I'm going to go to the custom methods, and in my root layout I'm going to override that. So first I'm just going to cheat here and copy this guy. And now I'm going to say, instead of saying calling child method, I'm going to say calling parent method. And I'm going to get rid of the virtual. So what that really means is I'm overriding it, but I'm not going to let other layouts override mine because you can keep nesting these layouts. I'm going to hit submit here. Now when I hit the button, it says calling parent method, right? Now I want to be clear what's happened here. Save this guy. I'm going to save both layouts because I did change the child and the parent. I'm going to go ahead and say save. And now if I go back and open that layout, I'm going to open that child layout again. Now when I open this layout, if I go to the custom methods, we're going to see that this changed because I went and edited the layout, right? So you can edit multiple layouts from your dashboard. And so I edited this layout and I added the virtual method to it. Okay, great. Another thing I'm going to do here just to make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to take this guy and say add a panel to the right, submit that, and then over here maybe I'll just do a little bit more information as well. So I'm going to say create another table visualization. I'm going to go back to AMI, and maybe this time I'll just choose let's see, data sources. Go ahead and say submit there. Test that guy. Next, finished. Okay, so now we've got tables and data sources. And this is called div 1. So we notice inside here we've got div 1, and then inside that hierarchy we've got table and data source 2. So I'm going to go ahead and say file save. I'm going to go back to my parent layout. Layout's open. Go to that parent. Open that guy. Now when I do window, new window, and if I say create table unhide, we're going to see that first off, this is grayed out because I've already unhidden it. But now we have my choice. I can either unhide the child div 1, or I can unhide the child table or the child data source. I'm going to do the child div 1, and that's going to basically bring that entire thing inside here. So now basically this child, both those panels, all three of the panels, if you include the divider, are now available inside of this. And you'll notice everything is prefixed with this child, child, child. Now I'm going to go ahead and just say window, new window, create table visualization. I'm reminding you that we're in the parent layout right now, or as we call it, the root layout at this point. So if I say just show the things from the child layout, well, we can see we've got our two data models that I created. We've got our visualizations. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. And if I say I just want to see what's in the parent layout, well, really there's nothing that just lives in the parent layout. But I'm about to change that. So let's go ahead and say click on this guy, and I'm going to just create the column table next. And you'll notice that now inside here when I create this data model, I have a choice of the owning layout. All objects within AMI, you can choose what layout it's going to live in. I'm going to just keep it in that root layout. I could add it to the child layout instead. Keep it in the root layout, hit test, next. And now I'm going to say create a table. Again, I can choose which layout owns the panel as well. Now, here's an interesting thing, that this panel must live in the parent layout because the data model lives in the parent layout. You cannot put something in a child layout that references something in the parent layout. That would break the visibility rules. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say finish this guy. So now we can see this is just underbar, underbar column. It's not child underbar column. Now the interesting thing is here, let's say I click on this guy and say add a relationship between these two things. Just to give you an idea on this visibility, I can choose whether this layout, whether this relationship lives in the child layout or the root layout. Why? Because both these panels are in the child layout. So the relationship could live in either. Now instead I'm going to create a relationship between these two, the column and the table. So I'm going to say add relationship between these two guys. And actually the only available place I can put that is in the parent layout because one of these two panels are in the parent layout. Again, if you could create a relationship in the child layout to something in the parent layout, then when you open the child layout, that relationship would be dangling and pointing to something that doesn't exist. So anyways, just going to create a relationship just to tie this out here. Source table name equals target table name. Submit that guy. I click on this, and we can see that's running. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and say file, save. And that gives you an idea of how you can basically build a parent layout that contains child layouts. And so just to round that out, if I go to the data modeler, right, I choose root. Now we can see this guy lives in the root layout, this lives in the child layout, and this basically lives in both. Okay, so that is it for this. Thank you.